We're going to talk about how our bodies are organized. It'll help you in relation to the different body systems. And so let's just jump in. This won't take very long. So what is a body system? It's a group of related organs. The body system together accomplishes functions that we have to have for life. So our body systems have to work in conjunction with one another in order to have the optimal functioning. And there are 12 body systems. So there's 4 basic properties of life. There is reception, which is the ability of the organism to control its actions and respond to the changes in its environment, like when I yelled out loud at you and you all gasped and stuff. Metabolism, you have to be able to take in and use nutrients for energy and growth. The ability to reproduce, and the organization, which is the division of the organism into distinct parts to perform certain functions. Anatomically speaking, the organization of the body structures on 5 levels includes cells, the smallest unit of life, tissues, which are combinations of similar cells that create some kind of functionality, the organs, which are a collection of tissues working together to also perform a function, the body system in its entirety that provides a major function of the body, and the organism as being that results when the body systems work together to maintain life. So from the cellular level through the whole process to where the organisms come together to function as a unit makes up the body systems. One of my favorite words anyway, homeostasis, the tendency of the cell or whole organism to maintain a state of balance. That's our natural tendency, and there has to be that consistency of the internal milieu or the fluid surrounding the cells of the organism. And composition of the tissue fluid that makes up internal environment is supposed to be kept at a constant, and so molecules can pass in and out, and they should in order to maintain that balance in a perfect situation. Continuing on with homeostasis, we're always trying to regulate body temperature, the exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen, our pH, our water and ion balance, how our fluid is balanced, the pressure and volume of our fluid. You know, I preach the hydration situation. Again, it's really important to functioning at your optimal situation. The ability to have waste removal, and your body's always striving to keep the water it needs and get rid of the water it doesn't, keep the waste it needs for nutrients, or keep the ingested material, and that is what is needed is taken out, and then waste is resulting in that. So these are the physiologic components of what make up the body's striving for homeostasis. So there's 4 main tissue types you need to know. There's epithelial tissue, covers the body, forms glands, and lines the surface of the cavities and organs. Connective tissue is formed by protein and includes soft tissue such as fat and blood cells, and hard tissue such as bones, ligaments, and cartilage. And then we have muscle, which is made out of protein fibers and has a unique tendency to be able to shorten to produce movement. And then there's nervous tissue, which is composed largely of specialized cells called neurons, those receptor and motion cells. And then again, here's all the things that our body systems do to balance and to maintain homeostasis. Your integumentary system is your skin, it's the largest organ in the body, and it allows you to perspire to maintain homeostasis and to regulate your temperature. You know what happens with your cardiovascular system? Your heart rate can go up, your blood pressure can go up or down depending on what your body needs. In circulation, your blood cells are needed to transport oxygen and carbon dioxide, so your body, and also your white blood cells are to fight infection, your platelets are to clot, and so your body's always trying to regulate those to perform those functions. In the respiratory system, oxygen and carbon dioxide are exchanged in the lungs, and then the blood vessels and in the cells, and that's continuing all the time. Our skeletal system, we're trying to regulate the body's calcium by the parathyroid hormones, actually, that do that. I'm not going to ask you anything about hormones just yet. We'll wait till we get to the endocrine system. But you know, when you get cold, your body shivers, your vessels contract as well as your muscles, and to bring some warmth to your body. The digestive system produces the bile that breaks down the nutrients, and the liver breaks down toxic substances and stores sugar for when you need it and gets rid of the old blood cells. And the urinary system, of course, filters our blood for excrement. The endocrine system controls all the hormones, And the hormones control so many body functions. Excuse me, I always say if I had a pill that could control hormones, I might rule the world. Nervous system regulates the nutrients from the blood, body temperature, breathing, blood pressure, and the autonomic responses, which are kind of the automatic responses. For example, blinking and your heart beating, things you don't have to think about automatically, are all part of the autonomic nervous system. Sensory system identifying whether you're hungry and you need to eat, or if you have pain, or if there's anything else off balance, it will activate some part of it to help right your body. And then the reproductive system, again, hormonally regulated, and also helps actually in the process of birth, of course, as well. And the body trying to right itself and to expel a fetus. Here's some important things you need to know about terminology in relation to body organization. And the anatomic position is the picture of the diagram on the far right, where you see somebody upright or laying down flat on their back with their palms up, their feet slightly apart, their mouth is closed, everything is facing forward, and the arms are not too far away from the body. That is called the anatomic position. And we use that as a reference point for describing other things and other locations of things. And then we have some positioning, and this is good for you guys. We'll talk again, if we haven't already, about lateral and medial, proximal and distal, anterior and posterior. But make sure you understand those and that you can identify those. You'll see that a lot in the hospital when describing locations of things on the body or positioning in radiology. It'll come up quite a bit. And then there's the body planes. And so these three diagrams are the body planes. The coronal or frontal is the diagram A, separates the front of the body from the back of the body, as if something sliced you right in half, and the coronal positioning or the coronal plane is the front and the back. The transverse cuts you right in the middle and divides the upper body from the lower body, and the sagittal divides you down the center, so you have a right side and a left side. And you'll, when you guys go to radiology, will probably be where you hear those terms the most. So also we have other planes, and we talk about this in medical terminology as well, but you have the term inferior and superior, which maybe means that my pain is inferior or below my knee, or my pain is superior to my knee, which would make it above my knee, like in the thigh area. If you were looking at medial, that would be close to or in toward the midline, lateral, away from. Anterior or ventral is the front part of the body, and posterior and dorsal is, or like a dorsal fin, is the rear part of the body. And then we also use proximal and distal for close to or far away from. So if I had an injury that was proximal to my nose, it would be really close to my nose. If I had an injury to my wrist, that would be distal to my elbow. So you'll see those terms thrown around a lot for location. And then there's the body cavities that hold the organs. So in the thoracic cavity, you have the lungs and heart, esophagus, trachea, and major blood vessels, like the aorta. So again, that thoracic cavity contains, it's a cavity in the body that contains the heart, lungs, esophagus, trachea, and of course the aorta. Then there's the abdominal cavity that contains your stomach, gallbladder, pancreas, intestines, liver, spleen, adrenals, and adrenal glands, and your kidneys. And then the pelvic cavity, which is your reproductive organs, bladder and rectum. Your cranial cavity is your brain, the ventricles in your brain, and then some of the glands. And then your spinal cavity houses the spine and nerves, so the spinal cord and nerves. So those are the 5 cavities of the body. Make sure you can tell me what's in which cavity. And then we have the abdominal regions of the body, and it's divided into 9 regions. We have the right hypochondriac, and this is someone in the anatomical position. So this would be the right hypochondriac, the epigastric, the left hypochondriac, the right lumbar, the umbilical area. Umbilical is another name for belly button. So this is the belly button area, and the left lumbar. And again, this is the lumbar area because this is the lowest, or the lower spine, the lower back area. This is the front view, but That's the lumbar region. And then we have the right inguinal area, the hypogastric or below the stomach area, and the left inguinal area. And those are the 9 body regions. You'll need to know those. And then we have 4 quadrants. Again, these areas are often used to describe where pain is. And when you know where the pain is, if you know it's in an inguinal area, you might think if it's in the right inguinal area, it's an appendicitis. If it's an hypogastric, you might think more intestinal. So it helps to pinpoint maybe what organ is causing a patient difficulty. And then here's a picture of the quadrants of the abdomen. So we have the right upper, the left upper, the right lower, and the left lower, and that's just a more generalized area. It's just like taking the area just above the nipple line to the pubic area and drawing across, and then that divides the body, and again helps to identify maybe it's in this liver area, maybe it's in this appendix area, maybe it's in the stomach, and so that also helps with location. So 11 quick minutes on body organizations. Thank you for listening.